zero to hero, momentum makers, momentum creators. Let's go.
Hello everyone, this is another episode of Momentum. Today is kind of a special episode because Giacomo is joining us and me and Vlada are both in Barcelona. This will be a special and a different episode. So thank you so much, Giacomo, for being here today. We are very happy to have you.
Thank you, Eric and Vlada. I'm really glad to be here today. So I really want to start because I'm so excited to share with you this momentum.
That's great.
Hey Giacomo, we're really glad to have you. Thanks for your time. So yeah, let's start right away. Let's not waste our time. As we mentioned, we would like to hear a little bit about about your story. So let's start maybe from the very beginning. So where everything started. Was Walliance an idea that came from you, that came from someone else? How was everything at the beginning?
Okay, cool. Walliance is an idea that started in 2016. We were not really thinking that deeply about what we were doing, not because we were crazy, but because we had in mind to change as much as we could the real estate market, trying to democratize, as everybody's trying to say, we want to democratize something. And in our case, we wanted to democratize something like the real estate market and the investment market for the retail investors. My activities, my life starts from, Trento, which is Trentino is in the Dolomites up north in Italy. This is where most of the things about the business and the company activities of my family started. And we have always been pretty deeply involved in the real estate market, but never with, I would say, a third party, because we always been doing internally real estate developments, real estate investments. And I had the chance after my studies at the University of Ca' Foscari in Venice to go in New York City to continue university course at the Howard International Business School. Specifically at that time, I was really looking deeply. As you can understand, New York City, like 90% is real estate and finance. And I was really looking deeply about what was going on in the real estate market. It was 2012 when I was there, and I remember but it was very important because in 2013 the crowdfunding word for the real estate started to become a standard thing for the market. So when I came back in Italy, I was talking with a few people, and there was a platform or something similar that was called Startid. And Startid was, I would say, a website at that time that was doing crowdfunding technology for anyone that wanted to start a crowdfunding business. And at that point, I met with Claudio Bedino and I started to speak with him, and I got a little bit more involved in what was crowdfunding because I understood from the website of other people, but I was not really connected to that word at that time. So we said, okay, they are doing this in the United States. Why can't we do it in Italy? Since this is something that, like the real estate market, Italian people really want to buy a house. They are really very connected to the real estate market. And from that time, we decided to start something. Walliance, it's a crasi, as you could say in Italy, between Wall and Alliance. So at the same time, what we wanted to communicate to the market is that, the wall is something solid, but at the same time, inside the walls or outside the wall, you can create an alliance in between people that decide to invest in a specific real estate activity. Walliance at the end, which you can, pronounce it as you want, because in Spain they do it in a way, in France they do it in another way. It's a place where people can really connect and start to invest in real estate projects. And then we open up to several other things like renewable energies, etc. But mainly what we want to do was to democratize everything. So, in 2016, the idea came out. 2017, we started the business in September. It was the 12th September of 2017. And one funny thing is that every year at our like birthday party, it happened that at the same time we had the Apple keynote. So basically, Apple keynote was more or less the same day every year except last year. And I am also truly passionate about the Apple product. So it was like, sometimes during the keynotes we were doing for our clients and investors, we were starting with a big Apple
Yeah.
logo in the keynote because, just to fun up a little bit more the situation. So this is where, it started.
Giacomo, just give us a little bit more details. So you spent in New York how long? How much time? You stay there for
So
one
I
year?
was there for almost 1 year. When I came back, I fall in love, like everyone, with the city. And nowadays I go back and forth quite a while because we started to do a couple of investments also with Walliance. We open up into the advisory activities with Walliance,
Yeah.
and we are now following two big projects. One is in Midtown New York City, and the other one is in Brooklyn Williamsburg.
Wow,
So
it's exciting.
yeah,
You're
I was
planning to
trying to
open
keep a
something?
path, so it was very important for me.
Okay, and who is Claudio? You mentioned Claudio earlier.
Claudio Bedino. Is today he's the general manager of Gemini, which is a blog. I try to say correctly because I'm not pretty exactly sure, but he's the guy that started at the very beginning. So the company that started to provide to Walliance the technology, and then Walliance decided to bring the technology inside. So today since like I believe 4 years, we develop internally. So we don't externalize this activity because it's pretty important technology in a prop tech company. But yeah, as of today, he's one of the C-level in Gemini, over crypto blockchain world. It's pretty complex, but
So it was kind of like a merge at the beginning, if I understand correctly.
no, we bought directly the technology from them, and we decided to bring it inside. Then the company took different paths, took different paths. But yeah, we just basically bought the technology because we really thought that it was important to continue alone with business because we needed faster activity to develop our IT system, our front end system, our back office, etc., much faster. So we decided to bring everything internally. It was not really a merge. We just bought, the technology, the full technology from them when they decided to split the company.
And Giacomo, you come from a family of entrepreneurs, if I remember correctly. So, how did that impact your path and the decision you made of building your own company?
So what I usually tell people when they ask me this, it's like that. My passion, I really thought since the very beginning that I wanted to study architecture. And today I don't work in architecture, a path which is not very different, but it's not architecture because, real estate, it's similar. But at the end, I didn't do that. I studied international affairs, more something very different also from what I do today. And my company business, my family business, sorry, started in supermarkets and real estate activities and a little bit of development of real estate because the biggest part of real estate, it's owning, the places where the company used to make the business. So where the building of the supermarkets. And as of today, we still continue that part of the business. So it's very important in our, economical opportunity of a company. But at the same time, when we started Walliance, I always say we because, it's never just about me. It's about all the people that helped, in doing it. But at the end, Walliance was created because we wanted to try to do something different. I truly can say that at the very beginning, I was not aware about what it could become. And today, of course, I am full aware of what it has become, but there's still a lot to do because Walliance is a very young company. It's been quite 8 years now. You can see like the biggest companies in the world, took like 25, 30 years to become very big. And maybe it will take less. We grow very fast in the last years, and it has always been a growth year by year. For if you look at data, if you look at metrics, every little metric, it's so you see that something increased. Of course, it's not easy because real estate, you don't have the same volatility you have in like the stock market, but you still have, over the last few years, you can still see a little volatility. So we are trying to change a little bit the product to adapt a little bit better to the market. It's I would say it's part funny and it's part being in a desperate housewife situation because you still have to find out how to improve what you do and try to give to your clients, to your user base, about the product. It's tricky, but I believe that there's still a lot.
And so when did you start, like going back to when you started again? So basically you decided to do your own business and to do an acquisition before starting like in
Mhm.
order to have the proper technology ready. And how did your family reacted? Did you have a support system? Were they very much sold on your
Yeah.
idea? Yeah, walk us through the early moments, the roots of Walliance.
So yeah, the very beginning. I mean, I believe that we were all involved. I would say because I lost my father when I was 8 years old. Basically, the third generation of a family came up very young in the company. So before that, before Walliance, we had to do other things because we basically had to reorganize the biggest asset we have in the family. So I was I never stopped to work in the other companies. So it was just something new that we decided to do. Everyone was aware. But since this was something that I believe I was, I don't know, spending 30% of my time at the very beginning
Yeah.
on average, wasn't really, we couldn't really understand which could be, the future of this company. So now today I would say that I spend 110% of my time plus 20% for the other businesses we have. But yeah, I mean, we were all, I would say, very curious about what could be the future of a company. It has always been, the little company we had in our group, and it has not ever been just something for me and that's it. So we were really sharing, even if I decided to start this new business, we were sharing, the paths, etc. And this made things much easier. So it was not me like saying, okay, bye guys, I'm gonna start a new business.
By myself.
We just I decided, to start something new, but it was really important to share internally. So at that point, we were really happy for the
Okay.
results, and we were sharing the opportunity.
First of all, I'm sorry for your story. Like, I think it must have been pretty hard also to get into the business. I don't know if you started very early on, but I feel like probably you felt a lot of. At what age? What age did you start working?
I started at 19.
Wow. Yeah, that's really early for European standards. Maybe in US it's common, but in Europe it's really early on. So you probably were surrounded by entrepreneurs and you were basically into business very at a very early stage. So it
Mhm.
means probably that helped you to, I don't know, develop your own acumen, develop your own ideas even more. Do you think that had any impact on the
Yes.
person you, like the business person you are today? And how did
With the
that?
experience I had, I just came out with the study course, the university in 2013, 2012, 2013. After I just came back to New York, there
Yeah.
was a situation where the company business, for my dad has three more brothers, two sisters and one brother. Then I have six cousins plus my brother Gianluca and me, so eight cousins altogether, and really no
Huge
one.
family. Wow. Yeah, a nice squad, a nice big.
Yes, so really no one wanted to continue the business in the supermarket. But me and my brother, we decided, okay, let's jump in and let's buy out the other
Yeah.
part of the family. And we decided to buy out when it was not a good moment of a company, of course, because the company was not going very good. I'm not gonna talk about this today, but maybe he needs a full like 3 hours podcast the next time. But we changed completely the company, so we gave it a new way of living, way of doing the
Oh, wow.
things. This, we really worked to improve the company very hard. So until 2016, 2017, Walliance actually started its
Beautiful.
activities. We were fully focused on that. So yeah, I met a lot of people, especially a few entrepreneurs that helped us to do this thing, because it was not easy when you are 19 and your brother is 23 to do something like buy out the other people's company. We had 400 employees in the company, so it was not really easy to manage, but we got to learn a lot of things. And I'm happy about this because at the end we can see the results, and the results are good. And we did it because we really ask a lot of help to other people. And I believe this is something important to tell people, to tell the others,
Yeah,
because people sometimes are scared to ask for help, but sometimes it's the easiest thing to, to get to your goal. So yeah, I really worked with a lot of very good entrepreneurs, much older than me, I have to say. And so I had also the time to get to learn a lot of things, because at the very beginning, when you get out of school, you really don't know how it works.
that's
The
true.
nice thing is that at the very beginning, you feel so not powerful, but you feel that you have, all the energies that you need. After 10 years of working, I feel, this thing, maybe I would like to do something differently, etc. But it's, it's just part of a job, it's part of life. But you really feel that energy at the beginning. So you don't see the problems as big issues. You see just problems as something you have to solve because it's part of a journey. And yes, of course, you need to find your people, and you need to find someone that you want, that for you, maybe it's someone you would like to follow. Like, I don't know how to say that, but I don't want to say also the name, but I really had a specific entrepreneur, like two people that I really
Look up to.
appreciate,
Yeah.
and they really helped me out in, in becoming who I am today, I would like to say.
Yeah. Do you think of them as a mentors?
Yeah, kind of,
Mentor.
yes. Maybe it's a lot, but yeah, I never said that. I never thought in that way, but yeah, I believe it would be. Yeah.
And how important do you think? No, because I think this is a very important aspect also for our audience. Like we are trying to inspire future entrepreneurs. So that's a very great point. Sometimes when you have very little business background or you don't have enough experience yet, it's
Mhm.
good to rely on a mentor and ask for help. Like when you have to. Sometimes it's harder than other, like for someone is harder maybe because you can be proud and so on and so on, but it actually helps you to be more prepared. And even, for example, when you have moment when you are a little bit down, you can also ask for an advice and have someone that cheers you up when things are hard, for example.
Yeah,
So
what happens is that I'm not scared, even if at beginning I was. I have a list of full of people that I can call and ask them,
yeah,
look, I need your help in doing this. This is, my goal, and I need to reach this goal because of this reason. I thought about you. Do you think you can help me? And a lot of people are scared about this. Then
yeah,
on the other side, when I think about a potential mentor, I think more about someone that I would ask for an advice, which is, but in that case it's different. My mentor, it's someone that can give me an advice, and because I trust the advice of this person. But about ask for help, it's very important. You have a full list. I could ask your help for like Vlad and Erica for a lot of things, especially in your field, in your activity, because of the business also you do on top of this momentum we're having today. But yeah, I mean, we don't have to be scared about that. It's really important, because who can help us? I mean, we cannot do everything alone.
it's
And
true. It's very true. Can you give us a moment, like an example of a specific situation where you actually thought that yourself, you couldn't make it without an external support and like an advice for
yes.
someone else?
Yes. So I will tell you about one thing. I mean, it's very easy, and like it's a very cheap story, nothing particular. But there was a particular moment of the year for Walliance. Walliance needs to reach a specific goal, because we have to get capitals on the market to invest it in real estate developments. So what
Yes.
we do is crowdfunding. So it's pretty easy to understand. The issue we had at that time is that we had a very big project where we wanted to reach roughly 6.5 million of fundraising for a project in the United States. And then suddenly it was the time where the market changed completely, new elections, etc., etc. So don't make me speak much more about that. But it happened that the market, not crashed, but the market was really passionate, something like this. Also, if you are European, you invest in euros, and you have to change your money in dollars to invest in the US market. Maybe it's not the best time of year to do so. So we started to create partnership with banks. We started to create partnership with institutional investors, and I was like, I couldn't really find my way out to this problem, because we really needed to find the money. At the beginning, when we accepted to fundraise this project, we were pretty sure to do this, because a lot of our investors were investing very quickly. in the project very, very quickly. For this project, you put it on the website and nothing happens. It's like when you open your new ice cream shop and you believe that there will be a queue outside because everybody wants your ice cream, but you open it and nothing happens. Because for those things, it takes time. And this is the
Yeah.
same situation. It took time, and we started to call people. Me personally, and with our team, we started to look at our list of biggest investors and started to call them to explain them what was about their project, because we also thought maybe people are scared, maybe people don't understand that there is a guarantee on the currency exchange, etc., etc. So let's try to talk to them a little bit more. So I would say in this situation that it was really important, because with our entire team, customer support, investor relation, we rounded up and we say, okay, guys, we have this issue. We need to get to this goal. How can we do that? At the end, what happened? We raised the 6.5 million
Yeah.
because we were able to do so. It was not easy at all. It took us like 1 month and a half. Usually we were fundraising projects in like 2-3 days. So very quickly.
Really? That
And
quickly?
this tells you that at the end, time, it's for sure something that can help you. Even, it's just nobody gives you time, but time is something you need to take eventually to fix something. So I would say that time, and the clock, it's something that can really help you. And on top of that, of course, if you have a group of people, especially in a company, you have to put them together and tell them what we need to do and how we could reach the goal, asking them if they have ideas and
Mhm.
what they can bring up. And at the end, it came up, we have a very strong team and we were able to do it. But of course, in this situation, time, is of the essence. So time was really important, because having a little bit more of time helped us in fixing the situation. And it's like, when you do a balance sheet and you have just 1 year and 12 months of information to put inside of it because it's below. But maybe you would like to have 14, 15 months, in a year and not just 12. It's the same thing. Time will always fix more or less the problems, and time can really help you. So sometimes when you have to reach a goal, try to think about that. Maybe you need a little bit more of time, and this could help you a lot, I believe.
And Giacomo, let's talk a little bit more about Walliance itself. So imagine you have to explain what your company doing, not
Hmm.
to me and Erica, but to, for example, two grandmas. Imagine you come to our
Hmm.
place and I say, hey Giacomo, how are you? Did you eat? Are you hungry? And instead of, replying to these questions, you have to say, yeah, actually, I'm really busy with my own company that I launched and I'm working on it. So what is it about? We want to know more.
So basically, do you remember when you see people outside of a construction site, like old people that they don't know exactly what
Looking,
to do? And
staring.
Us.
yeah. You do that, but yeah, you're very young. But it's not. I was talking more about old people staring outside of the construction sites. It's the same thing, People like constructions. People, especially in Italy and Europe, like really walls. They really like the brick itself, and they feel that it's something that can give them a specific certainty over the time. So what is Walliance in this situation, in this panorama? It is a place, it is a digital website where you can invest in a real estate development project just through the website, because you can participate in a real estate investment without finding out someone else that tells you, okay, come in, you can invest 1 million, you can invest 10,000 euros.
So, with how much can I start actually investing? So, if you
You
have
can
to
start
start
with
with
500 euros, so a
500
really small
euros.
amount. You can do it with your application. We have the application, iOS and Android. You can do it through the website. Of course, a lot of people like the website a little bit more because, when you have to see a project and you have to look at, let's say, floor plans, you don't look it out on the phone. Sometimes you just prefer to have it on the website. But we have both, and
How
you
did you
can just.
establish this initial threshold, like 500 euros? Why exactly 500 and not 50? Why 500 and not 10,000? What was it,
Because
like, based on something specific?
the
Like,
point was really to democratize the access. At the end, if you see people are investing much more, but the first investment, people just say, okay, let's give it a try. Okay, let's see if it works. Let's invest just 500 euros or 1,000. If it works, then I'm going to invest a little bit more, maybe the next time, etc. So it's just, I would say it's more marketing because people usually invest more. But given the idea that you can access with a very small amount, it's not just democratizing the real estate market, but it's also giving the chance to people to diversify. Because if you invest 500 in each project and you have like a 20 project portfolio, at the end, invested quite a little. But in
And
any case, it's important for
what
you.
what are the other requisites for investing? For example, I have 500 euros, right? I download the app, you said, and I can
Mhm.
already start, or I have to be, for example, of a certain nationality, certain residency.
No, we do accept every nationality except the blacklisted one in the financial market. You just download the app or you go on the website. You have to do your KYC, which is fully guided. So basically we need to identify you, etc. It's a digital process, quite smooth. You open just a little account where you have a chance to manage your money and your investments, where you get your return, etc. So you have a little wallet where you put the money inside to make investment. You can also use the credit card to make the investment eventually if you want. So you pay like 30 days later to your credit card provider. But it's pretty easy. Just get on the website, identify yourself. There is a little also, just to be clear, questionnaire that you have to do because the regulation says that you need to be not just identified, but you need to understand if you are appropriate to do an investment like this one. Because let's say it clearly, there's always the risk to lose your capital, like in every investment. Here, maybe a little bit less than in other investments, but it's still something you have to remember. And on top of that, you're ready to go because you just go on a website, you can look all the documents of a specific project, you look project by project, and you decide to pick one or
And
more and invest.
the most interesting question, probably for the investor, would be what are actually the returns, right?
Yeah, so I would say we divide returns depending on the financial instrument you pick because you can invest in equity, you can invest in lending, and you can invest in a mini bond or similar or like a bond, which is more debt. But overall, like if you look at the lending, it's around 12% per year. If you look at equity, it's around 9%, and if you look and the same for the mini bond. So equity and mini bond overall, it's 9% per year return, and the lending it's a little bit higher because we believe it's a little bit riskier and it's around 12%.
That's great. Great
Our
return.
markets cover basically Italy, France, and Spain, where we have projects, and a little in United States, like New York, let's say, because it's not New York, it's not United States, while
Yeah.
it's still inside the country. But
It's
anyway,
kind of its own ecosystem. But yes,
yes.
how did you, so regarding that, regarding the expansion abroad in France and Spain, how did you approach that part? How did you decide to pick those countries, but also giving the business that you are in real estate is very much about relationships. So
So
how hard was it for you?
hardest part ever in our life, also financially,
Yeah.
because when you open a new country, you feel, I remember when a while ago I said, you really have so much energy, you believe you can do whatever you want. I
Yeah.
mean, company itself in Italy as my main business was going very, very well. So we decided to, go to other markets because we felt that we have like a block in continuing to expand in our market, in Italian market.
Because you already reached the number one,
No, we
you already
didn't
were the
reach
number
it.
one platform.
No, I mean, I don't think we reach like the maximum number of people. But when you open into a new market for someone like Walliance, it's because also you want to give to your client and the user base the opportunity to invest in other markets.
Abroad. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So not just investing in Italian projects, but in French project and Spanish projects. So we didn't think that, we covered all the developers of Italy because of course there's always a new project to finance. But at that time, it was important to continue to give to our user base new opportunities and to be seen as a platform that was more pan-European rather than the other platforms where maybe just concentrate in Milano or just concentrate in a specific part of Italy.
Yeah.
But for
So
the example, were these countries like requested, let's say, by your customers, or it was you who has chosen those countries?
no, we chose to go into those places. Some people, because in the very beginning, we started with a project in the United States. The main thing is that we started with a project in the United States after, like 20 projects in Italy. And we saw from the investors that they were really happy to invest in another market. So we said, okay, let's try to go and start with a few projects like in France and in Spain. And it happened that they were very happy. So they invested pretty quickly. But at the end, when you grow and the market grows, you need to hire people, you need to follow the projects, you need to follow your customer base, you need to give them support, etc. And if, like today, the French market is not going very well for the real estate, the Spanish one is like booming. The Italian one is like so, but it's still moving
Stable.
forward. Like, okay, we invested in France, we have people working there, but it's harder to find the good real estate developments to finance. And you have to make math, and you have to see that it's not easy to manage that country at this point of the year, or at this point, of the market. Like today, Italian market, it's still the founding market for the balance sheet of a company in
Yeah.
2024 and 2025. You really have to understand which are the pros and the cons to open new markets. We still believe that it's very important to be in Spain. France, a couple of years ago, was booming, so it was very important. But at the end, if you don't have a specific presence, I'm not living in Paris, I'm not living in France, I'm not living in Madrid, where we have the office for the Spanish market. I'm living in Italy. So I'm following all the markets of what's going on. We have people following the markets, but at the same time, it's not the same thing, because I'm not shaking hands with developers in France. I'm not doing this thing in Spain. I can tell that this makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I can
And
imagine.
that's the main issue. So it's not never easy to open up to new markets. If you ask me today, would you do it again? Probably yes. But I would say that we thought that it would take to us less time than the time it took today to be quite understood from the market. Because of course you're going to a market where you have competitors, etc. And you're still the Italian guy that decided to go into another country. Can you imagine the French people seeing an Italian guy going to another country? So
Yeah.
going to France,
True.
it was
Very,
not
very
really,
tough.
yeah.
Even more than Spanish people. I
Yeah.
mean, you have an office in Madrid, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Okay. So how was the experience with Spain? And how much do you rely on the managers, for example, that you have in Spain versus how much you try to control and try to manage yourself?
So I really love the city of Madrid, first of all. On top of that, I believe it's one of the best European cities to live in, because it's also pretty cheap as of today, as
It's
if you
true.
compare it to Paris or to Milan.
It's beautiful.
Uh,
It's clean.
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
And there are a lot of opportunities. And people are so
Yeah.
kind. Food is amazing, I would say. But yeah, on top of that, I would say that the market, it's not easy if you are a foreign like guy going into a new market. So in
Why
our, yeah, sorry.
immigrate?
Because when you have people like in our situation, Walliance is based, we really rely on on our managers, as probably a lot of companies, but we really rely on our managers. So if your manager is not doing exactly what we're supposed to do to have a specific success in the market,
Yeah.
then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's never easy, because especially in a market that it's booming, if you're not making good numbers, it's because maybe we are not doing the things in the best way. And of course, the main error we made since the beginning was to think about the Spanish market in the same way we were thinking of Italian market. So we were thinking, okay, let's go and do the same thing we do here in Italy.
Yeah.
At the end, in Spain and in France, it ended up that we do only lending, crowdfunding, and we do it only with the hypothec on the assets, which is something we never did in Italy. When at the beginning, when we went there, we said, okay, let's do the same thing, but nobody was interested in our product. Not retail investors. I'm talking about developers that ask for our service to finance their companies, to finance their real estate projects. So it was not easy, and it's still not easy, because we had a certain turnover at the beginning to find a good person to manage the market. But at the end, now I believe that we found a good person, but we need really to help much more. Sometimes, when you are a manager, you don't like to ask for help, and that's an issue. At the same time, I understood that I needed to follow more these people, not to look after them, but to
Advice.
help them and advise every time when it's
Yeah.
needed. And I need to do this much more because I believe that sometimes looking at the main market, which is still Italy, I was too much focused, keeping the foundation safe without looking, at the big investments we are doing in the other countries. So
Because you have two main components. You have the B2B part, which are the developers, and you have the B2C,
yeah,
the
yeah. So our clients could be both investors that decide to invest through the platform and the developer that decide to get funded through the platform. So we
yeah.
are the intermediator and we get paid from both, mainly from the developer that ask us to get finance and we get a fee on the amount we raise. And at the same time, if investors at the end of their investment, only if it's successful, they will pay a fee.
It makes
Okay.
sense. And what is the hardest part from a business point of view for you to develop? As like I imagine that in order to get in contact with companies that are developing constructions, you need to have a certain knowledge of the territory. You have to have relationship. You need to know which
Yeah.
company maybe is also more reliable. How do that, like, how does it, can you give us a little bit of an
Mhm.
overview of the process that you
I
have?
would say that the issue is not finding projects, the issue is not finding investors or customer base.
Yeah.
The issue is the management of projects when those projects are financed. The main issue in real estate are delays. Real estate, I would sometimes I say it's a synonym of delay, okay? And you never know what happens. It's raining too much. You get the permit that late, and you have to start the construction site like 4 months late.
All right, this was fun. Thank you so much, Giacomo. We had a great time, and I think this episode it is super inspiring for a lot of people. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Giacomo.